And welcome, guys. This is a really cool podcast coming up here, guys. Xceleration Fitness Podcast number. I'm going to let John handle that because I forgot which number we're on. But
we are 19.
There we go. 19, guys. We are all currently, I'm in my wife's office. John is in his girlfriend's closet, and Kevin's in his wife's office. So we all feel manly as hell right now coming with this podcast. And
yeah.
We have a very, very special guest, which I will let my co-host, John Papp, introduce.
Yes, so this is actually the first time we are not having a guest in person in the gym going, crazy here with this technology. And we invited Mr. Kevin Warren on. Now, Kevin, you're in Texas, correct?
Correct. Houston, Texas.
There we go, Houston. So, assuming you're a Texans fan?
Yes, it does. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So, Kevin, I think, I don't know. I found him on social media, I don't know when it was, a while back, and kind of noticed him, and he was putting out some pretty cool stuff and training in the MMA gym and all these big classes. And then we kind of had a mutual interest in Corey Gregory and this crazy lunge thing. And I was watching a story one day, and I saw like the whole class lunging. I'm like, oh, damn, that's sweet. We got to do that at Excel. So then we started doing it too. But that's kind of what I took note and kind of went from there. So from there, I guess just introduce us to who Kevin Warren is.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me on. Like you said, I found you guys on social media, and I've looked up to both of you since. I steal a lot of content from you guys, follow your workouts and all that. So I really appreciate you having me as a guest. But as far as my story, I was born and raised here in Houston. Only child, so pretty spoiled kid growing up. But I pretty much did all the sports, baseball, basketball, football, golf. I did it all. And I stopped playing sports after high school. Everything up until then, I did it at a pretty high level, but not high enough to take it to the college, the next step. So I went to UT in Austin, and at the time, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do as far as a career. I graduated pretty much at the top of my class, top 1% or so of my high school class.
Wow.
And so, when I asked my parents, asked my teachers, they said, "You're a smart kid, you should do engineering. You're good at math, you'll make good money, you'll have a stable job." So I did engineering, not really knowing really at all what I wanted to do with it. And I chose civil engineering as a major because civil is the most broad area of engineering. So because I didn't know what I wanted to do, it gave me the most options. So my freshman year of college is when I really fell in love with the weight room and fell in love with fitness. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, her brother was a mascot for UT.
Wow.
He was Hookem. So the guy,
there we go.
He dresses up in a furry suit, runs around, makes a fool of himself on the field. And I came in as a freshman, and they happened to need an extra person. And so he asked me if I wanted to do it, if I wanted to try out. I said yes, and I won the tryout, and I became the mascot at UT.
That's awesome.
No way. Dude, I never knew that.
Yes. So every Saturday morning, football games, I'm dressed up, going to all the tailgates, hanging out with everybody in 100-degree weather, wearing a big furry suit. So it was a little hot, a little sweaty, but it was a lot of fun. And the biggest benefit to me, and the main reason I did it, is because I was technically considered a University of Texas athlete, which meant I got access to all of the facilities.
Wow.
So I got to work out next to the best athletes in the country, and I got coached by some of the best coaches in the country. And so it was an incredible experience, man. And of course, I got a bunch of free swag and free muscle milk and all that stuff. So
hell yeah. You had the life.
Yeah, that's a hookup.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome.
Who was the head strength coach when you were working out there?
So when I started, it was Mad Dog. And then
Mad Dog, man.
Yeah, so when I started, it was Mad Dog. And then a couple years later, Benny Wiley took over as the head strength coach. And you might know him because he actually recently won a TV show that was on NBC called Strong. And
I saw that.
Yeah. So both of those guys are awesome guys. I learned a lot from them. It was really cool. But my main coach, who I worked with on a day-to-day basis, his name was Chase. And he introduced me to an entirely new style of lifting. Prior to that, I was just doing like bodybuilding.com stuff, you know, the 3 sets of 10, you know, bench press, curls, the typical bro. And the first workout that I did with Chase was West Side for Skinny Bastards by Joe DeFranco. Yeah, and so that was a total game changer, man. You know, I'm doing box squats and sleds and deadlifts with chains and like all this stuff that I'd never done before. Totally introduced me to a different style of lifting and a style of lifting that's more appropriate for an athlete. So that was a great experience. But even throughout that whole time, I still didn't really consider fitness as a career. I still thought of it as just a hobby. And so I got my degree in civil engineering, finished out school there at UT, got my degree, and moved back to Houston afterward and just got a regular 9-to-5 job. I moved back here with my wife. She went to school with me at UT, and we had our daughter. We got married. So I had the job pretty much doing the standard, you know, dad thing, 9 to 5, come home, hang out with the family, but not really doing too much other than that. Still training, but not doing anything too serious. And then a couple years ago, I started listening to podcasts, and I got into it pretty heavy, and I discovered Lewis Howes and Gary Vee and some of these other guys, and of course, Corey Gregory, like we mentioned, and really it really opened my eyes to the possibility that I could create a career and a life out of doing the thing that I love, which is coaching and fitness. So about a year ago now, it was last June, I decided to start a blog. And I started with just a free WordPress basic site, and I was just writing a little bit here and there. And it caught the attention of the people at Paradigm, which is the MMA gym that I train at now. And my wife previously worked with the owner's wife, and so we had a little connection there, and they asked me if I wanted to come over and try out coaching one class a week. And it would be on Saturday mornings. And before that, they never had any classes that early on Saturday morning. And so they figured they'd give me that shot, and I killed it, man. I crushed it. And so I had a bunch of people come out, and so they gave me a Friday class. And then my Friday class started doing really well. And they already had a Tuesday, Thursday running with another guy. But he was kind of not so interested in it, not doing too well. And so they decided to give me all the classes. So within about 2 months, I went from no classes to 4 classes and basically became the head strength and conditioning coach at Paradigm. So that was a huge, huge part of, I guess, my fitness journey, my career, and it started to give me a little bit more credibility. And since then, I'm still training there. I'm running my own website, doing some online training. I just competed in my first men's physique show.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, took home third place and got nationally qualified. So that was a big goal for me.
Yeah, nationally qualified.
Yeah, nationally qualified. So the next show that I do, if I do it within a year, it can be on the national stage, which is pretty cool.
That's sick. There you go.
Yeah, and other than that, of course, running the podcast with my man Justin. Ben, you've been a guest on there. And John, we got to get you on there soon too. Yeah, and writing articles, training, doing the whole nine. Still got my 9-to-5 job right now, but I'm really trying to make a push for the rest of this year to switch over and do the training thing full time. So that's where I'm at now.
Wow, man, that is an amazing story. All the way back to UT. That's crazy. What year did you meet your wife?
So my wife and I actually went to high school together.
Oh, okay, high school.
So yeah. We didn't start dating until college, but I was friend zoned super hard. It's it's a classic story of I was like, head over heels with her from the very beginning. I was like a 15-year-old kid, like madly in love, but she wasn't having it. She wasn't feeling it back then. And so I took her to my prom, straight friend zoned, like best friends going to prom. But then she's a year younger than me. And so I went off to college. Like I said, I started working out a little bit. I actually, that first 8 weeks I was training up there at UT, I put on 15 pounds.
Woo.
And so I blew up. I grew a little facial hair, and she started to see things a little bit differently. So,
yeah, that's a fitness right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You can survive that. That just proves that you're a grinder.
Dude, I was in there deep. I was in that friend zone about as deep as you can get, and I crawled my way out.
Climbed your way out.
It's a dark place a lot of people don't get out of, man.
That's right, man.
Well, hey, talk more about that the mascot stuff, because I remember at Michigan State, to be a mascot, to be Sparty, I mean, it was a freaking big deal. Number one, you couldn't tell anybody you were Sparty. And number two, to make it to Sparty, big deal, man. I remember like the tryouts and stuff I heard. So can you tell us a little about that?
Of course, man. Yeah, it was so awesome. And we had a few different people in the rotation. There were like 4 or 5 of us who would kind of switch off. But it was a pretty big deal. And looking back, I don't think I appreciated it enough. I didn't really understand how big of an opportunity it was. But I enjoyed it for the couple years. I did it, and I was mascotting. I was going to every football game, basketball game, volleyball game, baseball games. And so I was getting to meet a lot of the athletes, a lot of the other people in like the cheer program, dance program, all that stuff. And it definitely opened a lot of doors as far as just good people to know on campus. And a lot of them are still good friends to this day. But I mean, like I said before, the main attraction for me was really getting to use that athletic facility. And I kind of abused the system a little bit and went in there probably a lot more than I should, and went and got therapy when it wasn't technically allowed, and packed away.
Hey, you got to do that.
Yeah, packed away a few muscle milks extra every weekend.
You're in college, man. I'd stuff my backpack too.
Take anything you can get.
Yeah, exactly. I was. Trust me.
What's crazy is I took my SCCC exam. It's a college one for strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
They put you in front of 3 coaches, and they grill you. You have to write this football program. It took me like 3 months to write, and you get grilled. Are you familiar with the test?
No.
So this certification exam is like super hard, and you have to write this football program, 1 week's worth of conditioning and lifting, and then these coaches just grill it. And one of my coaches was Mad Dog.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Oh man!
I haven't seen Mad Dog. He's up. I mean, what do you think he weighs?
Dude, he's got to be like 350, man. He's a big boy.
Big, just staring into my soul and like asking me questions, and I'm like, He was cool as hell, though. Really, really cool.
Yeah, man. He was a cool dude. And it was awesome going from him to Benny because, Mad Dog was there only my first year. Benny, I actually got to be around a little bit more. And, man, that guy, he's the most intense person I've ever seen in a weight room. And he does every single workout with the football team morning to night. So, there's like 3-4 different groups of guys in there. And he is in there killing it with every one of them. It's just insane. And he's like the most intense, hardcore person when he's lifting, but he likes to listen to country music while he lifts, and he doesn't cuss at all. No cussing. So he's like a very strict, like Christian man, and it's such a, give and take with his personality, but he was just overall a great dude.
That's awesome, man. That's insane. Wow.
That's sweet.
All right. So I'm trying to just break down your story, man. Your story is amazing. It's been less than 2 years of doing this whole fitness kind of thing with your blog and all that. And
yeah, man, actually just over 1 year. So I kind of got the idea kind of brewing around 2 years ago. It was just before Corey started his website and started doing his podcast. And, as you guys probably know, I kind of consider Corey to be my mentor, and I've learned a lot from him. And so when he went off and did his own thing and started producing more content that was driven toward entrepreneurs, I really responded to it. And it also got me a lot more into books and other podcasts that would help me along that entrepreneurial journey. So it was actually about 1.5 years ago, last January, I had surgery for my ACL. I tore my ACL back in October 2 years ago and had to have surgery to get it repaired. And so that was when I really went on the journey to kind of find out what I wanted to do. I had a lot of time on my hands. You guys still there?
yeah, I'm here.
Oh, shit, my bad. Y'all froze on me. But yeah, that was when I really went on the journey to kind of find out what I wanted to do. I started reading a lot, and that was when I developed a more clear vision and started believing that it was actually possible to make this transition from the 9-to-5 engineer to a full-time trainer and do my own thing. So I got the idea for the blog, and within a few months, I put it into action. During that time, I started training my friends on the side for free, just like 5 or 6 friends who would give me feedback and give me their testimonials, if I did a good job, obviously. So I had it all kind of behind the scenes in the works. And then it was the June of last year, June of 2016, that I opened up the blog, started writing, started announcing that I was training people for the first time and showing people that I was doing this. So before that, I wasn't even posting on social media at all about training or fitness or anything. So yeah, it was about 1 year ago when all this started.
Wow. What was that like was it pretty scary at first? Like, what are my friends going to think of me? I'm this civil engineer, now I'm doing this fitness stuff. Like, did you ever worry about that?
Oh my God, yeah, I was terrified. Yeah, because, I hadn't written anything or putting out any content, ever. And I went from posting on Instagram maybe once every month or once every couple weeks to starting to post closer to every single day, posting workouts I was doing. And it was nerve-wracking. I mean, I was unsure of how people would respond to it. Not only my writing abilities, but the things that I was writing about. And I wasn't sure, I don't have any certifications. I didn't go to school to be a trainer. I don't have a degree in coaching, nothing like that. So there was always that, kind of hesitant mindset at first of, will I be accepted? Like, will they really get what I'm doing? but it was all positive. Honestly, it really has been more than I could have ever hoped for as far as the response that I've gotten, both from my friends and from people like you guys in the fitness community who do have degrees and are doing big things. You know, it means a lot to me to be recognized by folks like y'all. And, you know, some of the other guys who write at Stack or just, you know, are doing their own training things for everybody to think of me in the same realm as y'all. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Hell yeah, man.
What got you that confidence to keep going? That's what I want to know. Like, because you hit that spot, like, should I post this? And I can understand. I used to be like this too. Like, this one sentence, like, is this external or internal rotation? Like, am I going to get this wrong? Like, what made you get past that block and just say, kind of, you know, screw it, I'm going to post this. This is what I believe. You know what I mean? How did you get there?
You know, I heard something from Gary Vee that really clicked for me when I was starting this whole thing, because I did have all those thoughts about like almost exactly what you just said, like internal rotation, external rotation, like all the technical mumbo jumbo, and
Call me out.
exactly, yeah. And I heard Gary Vee say, you have to keep in mind who you're producing content for. And I realized I'm not producing these fitness videos for other trainers. You know, they know what they're doing. I'm doing this stuff for the average person who maybe doesn't know anything about it, or an athlete that needs that extra push, you know, for the motivation. So I really started to understand who my audience was, and I was getting great feedback in messages from people that I hadn't even talked to in years, you know, people from high school or from college who said, like, dude, I tried that workout you posted yesterday. It was killer. I like what you're doing. Keep it up. Or, you know, I get feedback on a certain blog, and it was always a different one, some that I didn't even think were very good, to be honest. Someone would message me and say, that's the best thing you've ever written. It really resonated with me. And so that gave me the confidence to keep going. The fact that people were listening to what I was saying and they were taking it to heart and they were truly enjoying it.
That's awesome, man. I think there's so many parallels too for those of you watching, whether you're from our gym or Kevin's gym or wherever, you know, it's taking that first step. It's all about the first step and that leap and just going for it. And then, you know, who knows where it's going to go from there. And it just, you know, that's the biggest roadblock for so many people is just that first step. And kind of your story with the writing was the same with mine. I mean, this guy Ben here, like, was telling me for months, like, yo, you need to write for Stack. Like, I'll give you the editor's email. Like, I'll hook you up with Danny. He's like, no, like, what do I know? I'm like a junior in college. Like, I can't do that. And then finally I'm like, all right, you know what? You've been bugging me about it for 3 months. I'm going to do it. And then the first article had like 110,000 views. I was like, no way. Like, so it's just taking that first step and just going for it. And no matter what it is, weight loss or a competition, whether it's a, you know, bodybuilding competition or just a 5K, just taking that first step and committing to it.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
I think another thing to add to this too is you mentioned Gary Vee, you mentioned Lewis Howes. John and I are like obsessed with those guys. Like, I mean, I'm constantly reading books left and right. So if anyone else is watching this out there and maybe they want to start some kind of business or something like that, I've never met anybody who I've recommended Gary Vee to who hasn't came back to me like, hey, I was up all night watching videos of Gary Vaynerchuk or Lewis Howes and all this.
And even if you don't want to start a business, like it's good just because, I mean, the dude is like the most motivating guy out there, you know? Like, you're going to get off your ass and do whatever you have to do just by watching a video from him.
I'm sure he's watching right now, so shout out to Gary Vee.
Shout out, Gary.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, all those guys, they live what they preach, you know what I mean? They practice what they preach. And the Lewis Howes was actually the first one who really inspired me. I mean, I've been a Corey G follower for a long time, but at first it was just for the workouts. You know, I didn't really know him as much as a person. But when I started listening to Lewis Howes' podcast, he had on, man, like 3 or 4 guests within like a 20 episode span of people who went from a 9-to-5 job into an entrepreneurial venture. They left their job and started doing what they love. And before that, I didn't really believe it was possible. Like, you hear all the rich and famous people saying you got to do what you love, and you'll only succeed if you're doing something you care about. And before that time, to me, it was just kind of all like, mumbo jumbo. Like, yeah, it's nice to think that, but it's not real. And then I heard all these stories and people saying exactly how they did it, and I was like, wow, this is real. I could do it. And if this person did it, why can't I? And I started building that confidence, man. That's where it came from.
It's awesome, man. That's kind of the attitude I have about everything too. And I've learned more and more. Like, if I see someone doing it, like, why? There's no difference between me and that person at all. It's just there's something I'm not, and I got to do it.
Yeah,
I think that goes hand in hand with fitness. A lot of people watch this and they're like, all right, Kevin, John, Ben, they're genetically gifted. I'm not going to be ripped as them. Like, a lot of people always think that, and it's like, we're not doing anything that's rocket science, man. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not. And it goes back to what John said about just starting. That is absolutely the biggest key, and it's the biggest roadblock for everybody. And when I put out my first blog, and when I coached my first class, and when I did my first bodybuilding competition, it was never the perfect time, and it was never just right. But I knew in order to make progress, I had to take that leap. And no matter how small the leap may be, it's still a leap. You know what I mean? And it's still a jump, and it takes courage for sure. But you're not going to get anywhere if you don't do it at some point. You just got to do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm learning that not only with fitness, but a lot of things, man. I'm like you. How many kids do you have, Kevin?
I got one. Baby number 2 is coming here in a week or 2, man.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness. I got one.
Man.
I got one coming Thanksgiving, so I'm sure, Kevin, you're sharing the same interest I'm sharing it now, and it's like,
One more.
2 kids, and John, you don't know about that, but
yeah, John.
No, when it comes to this, I'm learning a lot about finance right now and like investments and all this stuff. And literally everything I heard today from my mentor was, you got to get started. You just got to get started. It's going to be rough the first 3 or 4 months, but you got to get started. I'm like, dude, this goes like hand in hand with everything I learned in fitness is going just with finances. So the reason I say that too is because I think a lot of people out there, they're in their business and they're in their job and they forget about fitness and health and all that stuff. But it's the same thing. If you're successful at your job and successful in business, you can be successful in fitness because it's the same principles, it's the same rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I got asked all the time when I was doing this prep for this last competition, like, how do you do it? How do you go balance the gym and the business and the family and your day job too? And like you just said, one rolls over to the other. And if you're successful at one, and if you're really trying, it's going to have that snowball effect and roll into the other things. And I'm equally as passionate about being a good father as I am a good husband, as a good coach, lifter, all these things. I'm not going to let any one area lag behind. And I think people have that fear that, if they do this, then they're going to have to sacrifice somewhere else. But if you have that mentality that I think all of us have, where we're going to succeed no matter what, we're going to do it, you'll find a way. I mean, yeah, we're going to have our second kids, and it's kind of terrifying, but we're going to be just fine, man. We're going to find a way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel it, man. Oh, that is great. Talk about that bodybuilding show. What kind of –
Yeah, let's hear it.
Oh, man, it was an experience for sure. It was awesome. I mean, I've always been a fit guy. Like I said, I grew up playing all the sports. I've lifted for a long time, but I've never done anything serious really with it. I've never competed in anything fitness related, you know, no shows or events or anything like that. So, you know, one of the biggest things that all successful people preach all the time is having that date on the calendar. And of course, that's a big Corey G thing. You know, he says it all the time. You got to have that date on the calendar to push you to that next level. And so originally, I actually planned to do a show last year. I did a little photo shoot for my website and social media and that kind of thing about this time last year, and it went pretty well. I thought it looked pretty good enough at least for social media. But I said, you know, I need to take it to the next level. I'm going to do a show in December, and I went into it with no coach. I was just kind of reading things off the internet. I was getting some feedback from some people that had done shows before, but I was kind of doing my own thing, just kind of, I guess, going in the gym, doing what I thought would be correct to get me there. And I got to about 8 weeks from the show, and I was not ready at all, man. I did not look good, at least to my standards. And I wasn't anywhere near stage ready, in my opinion. So I had to pull out, and I ended up not doing it. And it was pretty tough, man, because that was one of my big goals last year, was to do a show, and I failed at it. I didn't do it. And so part of me was like, man, you quit. But then the other part was like, it's okay. You can do another one. You know, you don't want to go up there and look terrible and have a bad experience. So I set my sights on this year, and I hired a coach, and I found a gym that I can train at with a bunch of other bodybuilders who all do this thing seriously. And dude, it was just a crazy journey. I did it for 15 weeks. I was on a diet, you know, strict diet, strict workout, following my coach's every cue. You know, I'm one of those people who, you know, if you tell me to do something, especially in the weight room, I'm not going to fuck it up. Like, I'm going 100%. I'm not skipping a set. I'm not skipping reps. I'm not cheating on my diet. And so for 15 weeks, man, I followed the protocol to a T exactly. And stepped on stage last weekend and had an absolute blast, man. I was, you know, I thought I would be really nervous because it's my first time doing it. And to be honest, the nerves never came. I felt good. And yeah, I was prepared. That you're exactly right. I felt prepared. And, you know, my coach, he's not going to lie to me. He's not one of those guys that's going to sugarcoat the truth. He told me on days when I looked like shit. He told me when I looked soft, when I looked flat. But going into it, you know, he said, I have confidence in you, and you've done everything you can. And the other thing going into it, you know, I competed in the NPC, which is an untested organization. And I went as a natural. I didn't take any drugs. So I knew I'd be going up against guys who had an advantage. They were going to be bigger, more conditioned, but I wasn't worried about anybody else. I was just trying to bring my best package. And I think that's another reason why I wasn't nervous. I genuinely didn't care about what anybody else looked like. And I had a great time with all the guys. Everyone I met was super nice. Nobody was an arrogant asshole, which is kind of the stigma that the bodybuilders get. But it was a great time. I felt prepared. I felt confident. Ended up getting third place, which obviously isn't first. It's not what I wanted, but there's room to improve. And take it as a learning experience, and I'll get it next time.
Dude, it's your first show. I mean,
yeah.
Third place. That's crazy.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
What was your body fat percentage, by the way? Because I saw your posts all over that you were going to say it, but I never actually saw what it was.
I know. In all the craziness, I forgot to post a follow-up, but it was 9.5%.
9.5. There we go.
9.5.
That's pretty tough.
It's true.
It is tough.
Hey, listen to that, people. That's a dude stage ready 9.5%, not 4%, not 3%, not 5%, 9.5% on the stage.
Yeah, man. It's the DEXA tells no lies, man. It doesn't hold back. So whenever you take the calipers or the little handheld thing, yeah, maybe it'll tell you 3%. But on that DEXA,
that ain't true.
Yeah.
We put that out big time. Hey, what tricks did you do right before you went on stage? I've heard so many different things on how to look jacked right before you go on.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love this. So I mean, starting a couple days before, I started to slowly bring my carbs back in a little bit more. So prior to that, I never ever throughout the whole thing went no carbs or even low carbs. Really, I was always pretty moderate because I don't hold, my body doesn't hold much water as it is, and I was already pretty lean, and because I'm a natural athlete competing against a bunch of non-natural athletes, the big concern for me was always my size. It wasn't ever really my conditioning. So I could have chosen maybe to go all in on conditioning, and I would have maybe looked a little more ripped, but I wouldn't have had as much size. And so I felt like for my situation, I still stayed relatively big throughout the process. And a part of that was keeping the carbs in. And so those last couple of days, I'm loading up on carbs a little bit more. I'm starting to slowly deplete my water. And then the day before, I depleted quite a bit. And the night before, I had a big cheat meal. I had a burger and fries. So I loaded up, felt good. And I was out with my teammates and my coach looked at me about 30 minutes after that burger, and he said, "Man, you're not filling out. I need you to go get another one."
Gosh, dang it.
So yeah, damn. So I went and got another burger, and I ate that at about 11 o'clock at night, the night before the show, and then woke up and I ate some pancakes and eggs. So just another big ass cheat meal. And then I was loading up, man. It was pretty crazy. And all this time, no water, by the way. So I'm like taking just dry, I'm blowing up, dry food, no water. But it's going straight to the muscles, which is the idea. And all day of the show, about every 30 to 45 minutes, I was having a couple rice cakes with peanut butter on them, just a little bit of peanut butter. What's that?
Still without any water?
Yeah, no water, man. So that's like the driest food imaginable. No water.
Sure.
And so it gets to be about 10 minutes before my stage time. And so I'm in the pump-up room with my coach and one of my other teammates and, trying to get the pump going. I'm feeling all right. It's coming through. My veins are popping a little bit. I'm looking okay. But we get backstage right before we're about to go on. I'm, like, in line with my class. And my coach is kind of looking at me from afar. And he's like, he looks kind of pissed, like he's kind of like shaking his head, like you're not quite there. And so he calls me over, and he has my teammate run to his backpack and go get me a honey bun. And so literally, I'm about to go on stage, and I didn't ask any questions. I didn't think twice. I just mowed a honey bun down, shoved it in my mouth, and knocked out a few more push-ups and got the pump going. And that was it, man.
Boom.
So I ate a ton of food leading up to that. And that was just for prejudging for the morning show. So after that, we all went out. I had another burger and fries for lunch. And then ate – Yeah, it was nice. And then I had a bunch more rice cakes later in the day. So it was a lot of eating, man. You'd be surprised.
I'm very surprised right now because I've never done a show. I never knew it was like that. Damn.
Yeah, and I think every person's body is different, of course, and it does make a difference when you're natural versus taking some sort of drug, the kind of things that you can get away with or the certain things you have to do. So it was definitely an experiment on my body, but I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's amazing. John and I did a little bit of that with that burger and fries the night before our last photo shoot. It's hard without water, man.
Yeah, dude, we had no idea what we were doing either.
Yeah.
Yeah, the water was the hardest part for me those last couple days. It wasn't anything else that bothered me. The food was totally fine, dude, but going no water, because I typically on a normal day drink like 3 gallons of water. You know, I have a gallon of water by 9 a.m. most days.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
So to go basically from that to nothing, it was rough.
Yeah, your body can't function, man.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fellas,
Speed
I
question.
gotta get to bed soon, but I want to finish this up real quick. Kevin, I totally stole this from you and Justin. This little speed round thing, these speed questions to really get to know you.
All right, man. I love it. Let's do it.
All right. I mean, he's been ready for it. You probably asked these questions. Okay. I'm going to start off nice. What's the best vacation you've ever had?
My honeymoon is St. Lucia.
Oof.
Solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
7 days, 10 days?
6 days. 6 days. And it was all inclusive at a sandals resort. Highly recommend. Got to do sandals. It was dope.
All right. John, keep that in mind. All right.
I know, my girlfriend over here just looked at me.
If you were the host of the talk show, who would be the first guest you have on your show?
The Rock.
Yes.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
No
I have a
hesitation.
picture of The Rock in my living room. Little known fact.
I don't go that far, but I do love that guy.
All right. Anyways.
Long story. Don't worry about it.
Favorite book?
If I have to pick one, it would be The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I really like that one. Also, The One Thing by Gary Keller. Those are probably my top 2.
I like The 7 Habits. This is a good one, man. I'm looking at that book right now. John, you got to read that.
Oh,
All right.
also, one more. I'm sorry. I'll throw it in there. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Really good one, too.
Never heard that one. Okay.
I've heard that. Never.
What is your favorite sport to watch?
Basketball.
Who's your team?
Rockets.
Okay. And player?
Oh, man. I don't know that I have a favorite player. I mean, I love Harden because he's on my team. I love KD because he went to UT. So those are probably my top 2.
Okay. Okay. If you could be one cartoon character, who would it be?
TJ Detweiler from Recess.
Yes.
Dude,
There we go.
Yes. I used to always think that, or at least I would think of myself as the TJ Detweiler of the group.
Back right there. That's awesome. Wow. Yes. Okay. Let's finish off with a little bit of seriousness. You got one piece of advice to give everybody before you leave. One piece.
Oof.
What do you say?
This is one of those things that's probably do as I say, not as I do thing, because I'm really trying to get better about this. But my one piece of advice to everyone out there would be, wherever you are, be all there. Wherever you are, be all there.
Can you elaborate?
Sure. So, in today's society, in life, we've got so many different things going on. As we talked about, we've all got a ton of responsibilities between family and business and fitness, health, all those things. But I think that if you can just focus on whatever you're doing 100% at that time, then you can be successful at it. So whenever you're in the gym getting your lift on, it doesn't matter if you and your girl are in a fight, or if you are having money problems, or if you've got a tasks to do at work, you got to focus on your lift while you're there. And same thing, when you come home to be with your family, to be with your wife and kids or your girlfriend, you got to leave everything else behind. You got to focus 100% on them. And I think if everyone did that, they would realize that there is enough time in the day for everything and for everybody.
That's awesome, man. You said it perfect. And yeah, I'm definitely a violator of that because my mind's
it's easier said than done for sure.
But I wrote that quote down. I'm gonna look at it all day tomorrow. But Kevin, I'm really impressed, man, with your story. I'm impressed with just how far you come with fitness and your passion and everything. So, dude, honestly, thank you, man. Thank you for doing this. Where can we find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Kevin Warren Fitness. www.kevinwarrenfitness.com is a website. I'm on Facebook, Kevin Warren Fitness, Twitter, Kevin Warren Fit as well. But Instagram is probably the place where I'm hanging out the most right now.
Awesome. Cool. And you just recently did some online training stuff too, right? If people want to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the past couple months while I was getting ready for the competition, I took a little time off from my online training business, but I've got that back up and running now, accepting new clients. And I'm also going to be running a group online program starting the day after Labor Day. It's going to be called Fall Forward. It's going to be an 8-week program. Basically, for anybody who kind of fell off the wagon these past couple of weeks of summer, going on their vacations, hanging out with the kids while they're out of school, enjoying the cheat meals a little too much. I'm going to try to get everybody right back on track.
All right. Perfect. Well, hopefully John Papp takes you up on that because
I gotta learn a thing or two from John Papp, man. I see that boy squatting damn near 500 pounds these days.
Getting there.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to make a trip up there to Michigan to see you guys.
Yeah, we'd love to have you, man.
For sure,
that'd be great.
All right, brother. Well, John, you got anything else, man?
No, other than we'll link up everything in the show notes below, and then go check out his podcast. I don't think he actually named there's the name of it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Saved by the Barbell podcast with my man Justin Ochoa. Like I said, we've had Ben as a guest, and John, you're coming soon. So I appreciate that, guys. And thank you guys again for having me on. Like I said at the beginning, you two are a couple of guys that I really look up to in this industry and guys that I plan on collaborating with a lot more in the future. And hopefully all of our stocks rise together and we'll be doing a lot more in the future.
Hey, man, next time we talk to you, you're going to be a father of 2.
That's right, man. I know. You'll be right behind me.
Let me congratulate you ahead of time, brother.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you soon.